I see you, waiting and watching, sitting and plotting. You've been waiting so patiently to see how this whole haunted trail has been going. And I have to admit, I've been a little slacky in uploading these haunt builds. So I do apologize, but do keep in mind this is a very busy time of year for me, and this haunt has been trickier than expected. But with that said, I have a lot of updates about Hollow Zero that I think will interest all of you, for those curious, excited, and fascinated about the ongoing developments with this year's Haunted House, Haunted Trail build. If you didn't check out the first edition of this build series, I showed you the location of the haunt and the layout therein, or thereon, or whatever you want to call it. It's not inside, it's outside. Though there are inside elements, and you'll see those beginning early stages now. Because this haunt is outside, it's a little trickier to actually solidify everything, because you have to deal with inclement weather, theft, stuff like that. So I'm taking all of that into consideration, but I will say, as it's going so far, I'm pretty hyped about it. I love the location. I like the lighting in this particular area of my city. So it's a really interesting thing to be a part of and to be creating. So Hollow Zero, again, follows a research team that found this crater in the earth and unleashes the horror from within. So, obviously, the hole was a really important part of this build, so very quickly the hole was dug, and now we had a good baseline for the surrounding area. Now, when it came down to the perimeter, I went ahead and purchased these huge 9-foot stakes from Lowe's. It was like $150 worth of wood, but it was worth it because these stakes are pretty heavy duty. And I went to hammering them inside of the ground, at least a foot, if not deeper, into the ground using a sledgehammer. The first one actually broke on me, and so I had to buy a second $35 sledgehammer to get these suckers into the ground. But once they were in, I was pretty confident with it. I then went ahead and added deer fence, which is a product you can get online for relatively cheap. It is a plastic fencing. It's very thin, but it also is heavy duty. It's hard to tear apart with your bare hands, which is a good sign. And it is used to keep deer away from certain areas of farmland. But in this case, it's keeping kids and patrons of the haunted house away from falling into the water or going out of bounds for this year's haunt. So I went ahead, covered the entire perimeter of the haunt, and began filling in the inside areas of the layout. Not everything, but a pretty good amount. Enough to at least block off the hole so no one falls, as well as a few other areas. There was this large medical sign sitting back there, and I was going to move it, but upon realizing that it kind of vibed with the theming this year, I went ahead and left it in, so that sign will be on display. I'm going to add some lights and creepy stuff to it, but it is going to remain in that area, also because it's really flopping heavy and I don't feel like pushing it away, and it also adds character to the area. So besides those things, I went ahead and added some stakes around the hole itself and added caution tape. And I may go a little caution tape crazy, but I am a big fan of it, so don't be surprised if this isn't the end. I actually bought an entire roll from Lowe's, so I have a lot to work with this year, and it might be nice to keep people away from certain off-limit areas. Other than the basic layout with the stakes and with the deer fence, I also put up a car garage out there. This one is a 10 by 20 foot car garage. This is the first of the interior sets of this year's Haunted Trail. It's all the way at the back before the guests take I guess this will be a left, before they take a left and go inside. This is the medical bay area. I also added some green tarps to surround the circumference of the garage, the medical bay, whatever you want to call it. Now, the inside's not done, of course. As you can see, it's very choppy right now, but because of the weather, this thing actually blew over once before. So I hammered it really good into the ground. It should be okay. It's been okay for about a week now. So I think we're close enough to Halloween where I'm not too concerned about it. But I haven't put any props under there just in case, because I'd hate to see the entire thing come crashing down. But it is up, and I'm glad about that. Other than those things, I added a few set pieces, some signs here and there, the dead end sign, and some tires at the very beginning of the haunt, which I actually think look pretty sick. This entire land area, the landscape, and the nice openness of the trees is going to be perfect for Halloween night. I'm super excited to share it not only with you all, the people watching humbly on YouTube, but also the people going through this personally and in person. It's going to be a really fun event, and I can't wait to share this with my community. Now we're getting to the trickier part of this build, which is going to be getting the props, getting the fog, getting the music, getting a generator out there, lighting. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty. There are a few more things I want to do. If you notice with some of these clips, that deer fencing is very thin, and so I really feel like it needs more solidity, so I'm going to either add some more tarps, black plastic, or some creepy cloth to kind of give it some depth, and that way the guests will very easily see where the wall is supposed to be. I also need to make note of where all of the scare actors are going to be placed, so that way I have an idea of what scares we can expect. This will also lend itself well to that covering up the deer fence idea, because if it's all see-through, you're going to see the actor from a mile away, and I don't want that. So I'm working on it. I can't say it's all the way there yet. We still have about 2 weeks, give or take, until Halloween. So I'm confident that this will get into a pretty good spot by the end of it, but you may see more of these haunt builds as it gets closer and closer to the day of Halloween, leading up to Halloween, because there's a lot that I'm going to be doing right beforehand, just because, again, of weather and theft. This is an open area, so it's open to the public, which is a nice thing for Halloween and the night before. But also, if someone comes in and wants to vandalize or ruin the property, they are welcome to do that, which I wouldn't want them to. Does that make sense? So bear with me as the limitations of this area are on display, but at the same time, the strengths of this area are on display, and I'm really excited to see Hollow Zero come to life. Other than the actual tangible set items and the walkthrough area, I also ordered some more masks and costumes for the scare actors, and I'm really pleased with all of them. This theme is one of my favorites to do, the kind of sci-fi, zombie-esque, alien-like stuff. So there's a lot I have to work with. We got a hazmat guy, we have a surgeon, we're gonna have nurses, we're gonna have zombies. It's gonna be kind of hectic and crazy, and I'm all for it. It's kind of what Halloween's all about. Let me know your thoughts about this haunt build in the comments down below, and more is on its way very, very soon. Thank you for watching, and remember, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.